Thank you guys for joining again. Tonight's session is on it's an introduction only, actually. It's a very basic introduction of religious recognitions for Girl Scouts. And this topic was chosen very deliberately for this week, which is National Volunteer Appreciation Week. For that reason, and also because it's a great activity for families to do from home. So I hope that we all learn a little bit. Feel free to ask your questions, and I will stop throughout the session to see if there's anything anybody would like to share or ask. All right, let's keep going. So first, before I get started into the actual content, just wanted to tell everybody again, happy National Volunteer Appreciation Week. We could not do this without our volunteers. So those volunteers on the call today, thank you guys. I hope you guys are feeling the buzz. We are, as staff, even though we are working from home, we feel it on social media, we feel it in emails, we feel it in things that are being mailed out. So hope you guys are feeling appreciated. We literally could not do our job without you all, and our Girl Scouts didn't have Girl Scouts without you. So thank you guys all very much for that. In that vein, we have chosen to do a whole week, Monday through Friday, of learning sessions or online sessions for volunteers specifically. So I hope you've been seeing this. We sent out an email about it this weekend, late last week. And on your screen now, you see the sessions. So we did one last night on Facebook Live on how to hold a virtual Girl Scout troop meeting. We are doing this one tonight. And then tomorrow, it's more of a party with one of our volunteers, Miss Kathy. So I'm excited about that. I will be joining. How to host a virtual bridging ceremony. You may or may not know, May is our bridging month for a lot of troops. We actually have a designated bridging week that's nationally celebrated by Girl Scouts everywhere. So to prepare us for that, we have a session on how to bridge virtually in our new normal. And then Friday, we have one of our very own National Gold Award Girl Scouts, Miss Disha. She comes from our council, and so she'll be speaking on her journey to her Gold Award on Friday, and that one will be on Facebook Live as well. All right, thank you. Hope you guys can join all of those or spread the word. So I will go ahead and religious recognitions. So this picture you'll see at the end as well to remind me to ask you questions. This is a picture from one of our own troops in our council, Girls of the Desert Southwest, and shows what we're talking about. So a troop of these being their religious recognitions, which you may also see referred to as emblems. So you may see that I refer to religious recognitions or religious emblems as the same thing interchangeably. All right. So what we're going to cover tonight in our training is these topics. So the what, why, who, when, where, how, and then I'll end with resources to show you where I got everything and where you can go and seek more information. Keep in mind that today's session is just an introduction. So it's a basic intro to the religious recognitions for Girl Scouts. There's a lot more detail, but we just won't have the time for it. But I do encourage you to research on your own and access the resources I'm going to give you and do your diligence and see what would work for you and your Girl Scouts. So let's get started with the what. So very simply, we're going to go over these 3 types of religious recognition, if you will. So we have My Promise, My Faith, and you see that abbreviated MPMF. That's the My Promise, My Faith pin. Those are created, managed, and administered by Girl Scouts. So GSUS. You also have a whole other category that complements the My Promise, My Faith pin, and that's the P.R.A.Y Awards. So you'll hear us talk about these quite a bit. I'm going to talk about these towards the second half of this training. But P.R.A.Y is something that I get a lot of questions about, and could be a lot of details. We'll go over the basics today. And then the last category is the other. So there are other religious awards apart from these two that I'll touch on very briefly, just so you're aware of those, right? So keep in mind, GSUSA administers the My Promise, My Faith pin. Everything in Girl Scouts is based on the promise and law, and so this is one part of that. While Girl Scouts is a secular organization, we have always encouraged girls to take spiritual journeys via their faith's religious recognitions or partnership with parents. The P.R.A.Y awards or recognitions or emblems are actually developed by the national religious organizations to encourage their members to grow strong in their faith. I do want to say very clearly that these are all optional, right? So your troop, your Girl Scouts do not have to do these. You do not have to present these to your troop. It is all an option. My Promise, My Faith can be earned one per year. It directly ties to the tenets of their faith. The requirements I'm going to show you here quickly in just a minute. And then once the girls earn it, they can purchase it at the shop. In case you guys are wondering, the P.R.A.Y Awards is by an organization that stands for Programs of Religious Activities Youth. Programs of Religious Activities with Youth. It is also a nonprofit, and they create and administer the P.R.A.Y emblem. All right. GSUSA does not promote or advance any particular faith. It is written in our promise, which I'm going to get back here. So as you guys all know our promise, we know it very well. There's a section that's called To Serve God. And if you've noticed, there's often an asterisk next to it. And that's because we, like I said, we're a secular organization, but we do encourage girls to experience and grow stronger in their faith in partnership with their parents. These types of awards help girls fulfill this promise to serve God. Also, it's a way to reinforce many of the values that are integral to Girl Scouts, help them grow stronger in their faith. And there's a lot of reasons why you want to present this to your Girl Scouts, have them presented to the families. It allows girls to strengthen that connection between Girl Scouts and their faith. A lot of the values, like I mentioned, that are in the promise and the law, you will see reinforced through these recognitions. And it provides girls opportunities to internalize those values. So those are some of the why. As far as who can earn these types of awards, so very simply, the My Promise, My Faith pins can be earned by, or should be done by, parents and girls. And then the troop leader usually will bring this information to the parents and the girls and either do it together or give them the information for the parents to do at home. So keep in mind that when you present this to your Girl Scout troop, you will not have, in most cases, all of your girls belong to the same religion, right? So usually you'll have them belong to different religious affiliations. For that reason also, you want to leave this choice and this decision to the parents. If they would like to pursue this, they can do that at home. You can schedule separate meetings for girls that are of the same religion. Then you could do that with agreement with the parents, of course, or you could just let the parents do it on their own with their girls if they so choose. The other two awards we're going to talk about, which is the P.R.A.Y and the other, which I'm just calling other for now, those are not taught by the troop leader. So those are done by parents, girls, of course, and taught by the religious leaders. Can I stop real quick? If you guys could put yourself on mute. I'm hearing a little background noise. I want to make sure everybody can hear me. All right, and I'll try and put you guys on mute over here too. Okay, so anybody have any, I don't see any questions coming in the chat box, so I'm just gonna keep going. So I'll make sure I cover everything that I want to cover tonight. So as I mentioned, the My Promise, My Faith pin is usually done by parents, girls, and some involvement at the troop level with the troop leader or a troop volunteer. either providing them the information or maybe holding separate meetings for girls that are of the same religious faith and doing that together. It's a really good family engagement tool to keep your girls active in Girl Scouts at the family level. The P.R.A.Y and other awards are done by girls, parents, and the religious leaders. So really for troop leaders and troop volunteers, what we want to do is be educated on them, be aware of them, and pass on that information to our Girl Scouts and their families. As far as the when question of our session tonight, very simply, these are optional programs, as I mentioned before. I want to clarify that. Anytime is a good time to earn these awards. So there's never a bad time. These are available year round. When it comes to celebrating, there are certain types of celebrations that happen at certain types of year. But as far as earning them and doing the requirements, anytime is a good time. And so when we went to a work from home or shelter from home situation as we are in currently, this is one of the first things I thought of, because this is a great time for your families, your Girl Scouts to be working on these from home. You want to do them or do them with the girls and talk about them, of course, with the parents, and don't start working on them until you've talked to your parents. So it's one of those sensitive issues that you need to speak to your parents beforehand. As far as when these are celebrated, usually they will be celebrated at a worship service in the recipient's congregation. So if a Girl Scout is a Protestant, for example, then at a future worship service in her church, they would recognize these awards to those Girl Scouts. And every religion has their own. They may also be recognized or celebrated at a troop or a service unit ceremony as part of a bigger ceremony. So this is one of those awards. And also as a council, we have recognized Girl Scouts that earn these emblems or recognitions at our council ceremony of honors. So we have done that as well. Usually our ceremonies of honors are in May. Earlier this month or last, we sent an update that those dates have been postponed until further notice. And once we figure out when we will have it again, we'll make sure and send an email with details to everybody as well. So that's the when. I'm going to stop here and see if you guys have any questions. If not, I will keep going. No problem. There's lots more to cover. As far as the where, these can be earned, like I said, by anyone, anywhere, really. And right now it's a great time to work on them from home. A lot of us are home with our families, so we encourage you to watch this training, go to the resources I'm going to direct you to, and do those with your Girl Scouts from home. Keep in mind that the P.R.A.Y and the other awards that I'm going to go over in detail next can be earned by other youth, not just Girl Scouts. So it could really be a family activity. So now we get into the details of how to earn them. So you may or may not have heard of the I Promise My Faith before, so I'll go over it in a little bit more detail as far as the requirements. And then really the rest of our session is going to be spent on details regarding the P.R.A.Y emblems, because we do get questions about that. It's not something that's readily available that you hear a lot about. So I want to take this opportunity for this training to go over the basics on that. Right, so first to start off, the My Promise My Faith pin. You have examples of what the pins look like here at the bottom. It's one for every year of Girl Scouting. There's a couple of requirements, and you see them here. This handout with the requirements is in the Girls Guide to Girl Scouting book, and it's also available as a free download handout on the GSUSA website, and I'll have a link to that here at the end. So very simple. In order to get the My Promise My Faith pin, they have to choose one line of the Girl Scout law. They have to talk with their family or friends about that particular line and the story, song, or poem that they have in common with their religion. They want to find a woman in their own faith or another faith community and connect with her, ask her how she tries to use that particular line of the law that she's chosen in her life. Step 3 is to gather 3 inspirational quotes by women that fit with that particular line of the Girl Scout law that that Girl Scout has chosen, and put them where she can see them, every day. Step 4 is to make something to remind her of what she's learned. So that's what we call reflecting, which is really important. It may be a drawing that she makes, or she paints something, or a poster. She could create a story, a skit, anything to reflect on what she's learned so far. Step 5 is to keep the connection strong. So with the help of parents, Girl Scout's going to want to find out from her faith community if they offer a recognition program for Girl Scouts. So highly encourage you families, troop leaders, to tell your families to connect with their faith community and ask about that as early as possible. You may also want to talk with friends, family, or other groups to see what they've learned about that faith and Girl Scouting. And it's a good way to ask for help as well. So those are really it. It's 5 steps to get the My Promise, My Faith pin. And there's a couple of things, tips for adult volunteers when you're partnered with Girl Scouts on doing this. There's a couple of tips at the end that you could follow. So very simple. So once a Girl Scout does these 5 steps, then she would earn the My Promise, My Faith pin. And like I said before, she could earn one every year that she's a Girl Scout. So here on this uniform, you see a Daisy uniform and you see 2 My Promise, My Faith pins here. That means she earned it for both years. These pins are worn on the front of the uniform because they are official and they have been earned by her. These can be purchased at the Girl Scout shop. So once a Girl Scout fulfills the requirements, then a parent or leader can go and purchase them from the Girl Scout shop. I do have some questions. I do have a question. No, Ms. Gloria, there's no booklet necessary to fill out anymore for these. No, for the My Promise, My Faith, it's simply going through the 5 requirements. Every troop is different. Every Girl Scout is different. I would highly encourage that your Girl Scouts do write the 5 requirements down and take notes and reflect on it. You troop leaders are great. You already do that with their earning badges or what have you. So it's just another achievement that they would earn and track down in a notebook perhaps. All right, good questions. Now we're gonna get into the second award or recognition or emblem for tonight that has to do with religious recognitions for Girl Scouts. That's the P.R.A.Y recognitions. So these, you have here on your screen a poster of a lot of different pins. You'll notice that I think it's a lot of religious affiliations on here that are part of the P.R.A.Y program. So these are created by national religious organizations to encourage girls to grow stronger in their faith. Again, remember that these are taught by parents and religious leaders. They are worn on the front of the uniform, just like the other pin we talked about. These are pins and programs that GSUSA has approved and allows the recognition insignia to be worn on the official Girl Scout uniform. But each religious organization develops and administers its own program. So this is why we get a lot of questions, because it's not necessarily something that GSUSA administers, manages, and controls, but we do want you to have the information. However, each religious organization maintains their own program for the P.R.A.Y award. And you see here all the different awards that are available. There may be other awards that are tied to religious learning for Girl Scouts that are not done by P.R.A.Y. I'll give you some examples later. But for now, we're just going to talk about P.R.A.Y. So let's talk about how you earn the P.R.A.Y. recognitions. So there are 4 steps. So this pin that they earn for P.R.A.Y. is connecting scouting and their religion, and it benefits young people. So it's important to know that even if you have a youth in your family that is not a Girl Scout, they are eligible to also fulfill the requirements to earn the P.R.A.Y. award. So that's kind of neat. So your family can do it together. These are the steps. So number 1, girls must obtain the specific booklet from their religion. So if you are, for example, you have a Girl Scout you're working with and she's Catholic, then you would go to the P.R.A.Y. website and order her booklet for her to complete the requirements for her P.R.A.Y. award. Now, I will say that some councils, our council has had these in the shop to order directly from us. I would highly recommend that you call us first, once our shops are open, of course, to see if we have those in stock, and then you could easily purchase it from us. However, if we don't have it, you can always go to the P.R.A.Y. website and order the booklets there for any religion that is available through the P.R.A.Y. program. So the first step is to get the booklets, right? Every girl has to have her own booklet. They're copyrighted. The P.R.A.Y. organization is very clear about that. So every Girl Scout has to have her own booklet. The second step is that the parents will review the program guidelines in the book with their Girl Scout or their youth, and they'll go through all the requirements together. It's not something that's done overnight. It does take a little bit of time because it's very thorough and in-depth. I would go into more details of it, but every booklet's different for every religion, and we really would run out of time before we did all that. So you can actually go to the P.R.A.Y. website and look at a summary of the booklet and get a better idea of what that particular booklet will encompass for your youth. So once you have the booklet, the parents go over it together. Step 3 will be to talk to their religious leader, show them the booklet before beginning, and for help, of course. So that's step 3, to connect with the religious organization. So get the booklet, go over it, make sure you get your religious organization involved so that you're partnering together to do that. They may have other resources and help and meetings specifically for this. And you also want to let them know that, hey, you have a Girl Scout, you have youth in your family that are working on this religious recognition. And so you want to make them aware so they can keep you in mind as well. Step 4, girls must complete the requirements, right? Or your youth must complete the requirements. Then there's certain signatures that you're going to need to get from your religious organization. And then in each booklet, there's instructions on how to get the recognition or the pin that you've earned. So you have to do that through P.R.A.Y. Sometimes we do get a lot of questions about ordering these pins through Girl Scouts or getting the signatures through Girl Scouts. And so I can very clearly tell you right now, we don't provide that for the P.R.A.Y. awards. That's all done through your religious organization. I'm going to stop here because I do have some questions, which I love. I love the questions. So in El Paso, do you know who here in El Paso can help for this, or Catholic faith, or we just go to our parish? Yes, great question. So you want to start with your parish, wherever you are, and ask if they're not familiar with who you're supposed to work with. Feel free to reach out to us. I have a contact here in El Paso that I talk to about these types of questions. It's usually the Archdiocese. So I have a contact there. I'm working on getting contacts, of course, throughout the whole council, but please start with your local parish. If they should know who to deal with. It's very centralized, actually. I have another question. I was told to go to cathedral. Yes, so follow the instructions of your parish. If you're getting the runaround or miscommunication, don't know who to go to, where to go, then that's where you would come to us and ask, and I can give you the contact information that I have, and we communicate throughout the year. So I can share that with you. And there are a lot of councils that will do these awards differently. So every council across the country will have ceremonies differently, more involved in these differently. For us, we really want to have everybody be aware of them first and make sure that your families are getting the information so that they can choose to do these or not with their girls. All right, let me keep going here. So we're still talking about the P.R.A.Y award, or the P.R.A.Y recognition, or the P.R.A.Y emblem. Something that I thought that was really interesting that you guys may like to know is that, well, let me show you on this next screen here. So for the P.R.A.Y awards, it's really these categories. You have Jesus and Me, which are tailored for kindergarten and first grade. You have God and Me, which is tailored for grades 1 through 3. God and Family are for grades 4 through 6. God and Church for grades 6 to 8. God and Family for older Girl Scouts 9 through 12. And this is a picture of what the award looks like in most cases, but they're all different really. So these are the categories that's based on grade. So we want to adhere to that. What I thought was really cool is that there's also an award that P.R.A.Y will offer. So if your Girl Scout did all of these, if she was a Girl Scout from kinder through the 12th grade, there's like awards for that. Also, if she earns certain recognitions, then there's like a different award. So there's a lot of other awards besides these, but these are the ones I'm going to focus on right now. When she completes that award for that category, it's worn on the front of her uniform once again. I want to make that really clear. And then once she completes it, what'll happen is you'll fill out that booklet on the end, get the signatures from your religious organization, your clergy, as a sign off, as an approval. They will have to register to order the award. And so they do keep track of all the girls that receive this, which I think is pretty neat, so they know what impact they're having. When they order these online, you can have them order the pin and the patch. So there's two things that the Girl Scout can earn in this case. Okay. All right, so here is what I was kind of mentioning before. So how you receive the award. So again, we get some questions throughout the year, and sometimes I'll get forms from the booklets that the parents and the girls fill out, and I'll get the forms. But there's really, I like the forms I keep, and I keep track of, because then I know to recognize those Girl Scouts that are following ceremony of honors. But we do not have any authority on approving the form or ordering the pins. So the awards that we're talking about right now, the P.R.A.Y awards, they come from the P.R.A.Y organization. We will not have these at Girl Scouts to order. The application in the back of the book has to be filled out in order to get these ordered, and you do that with your religious organization. They will then take that information and they will register, or they probably already have an account on the P.R.A.Y website, and then that's how they will order the awards for you. And they'll put in the girl's name so that they can tell throughout the country how many girls are earning this award for these religions. And it's a great way for them as a nonprofit to show and keep track of the impact that they're making with their program. However, registration is not required for you to start the program. So you can start the program anytime. I have the example here on this screen of the Roman Catholic Church Awards, because those are really popular across our council. A lot of girls are in this faith. So I listed them here so you can see them. I displayed them here. So remember, registration happens after the young girls have completed. It is required in order to purchase. That's usually something that's done by your clergy or your religious organization. There are other awards besides the P.R.A.Y awards. So just to recap so far, we talked about the My Promise, My Faith awards, and we talked about the P.R.A.Y awards. I very briefly talked about the P.R.A.Y awards. There's a lot of information on there, lots of resources. I'm going to give you their website so you can look at it. For now, I just wanted to give you an introduction. I encourage you to go to their website and research further. There are other awards that are available out there. So for example, there is an award called the Bible Basics RP3 Patch Series. These are just 2 of the patches part of the series. These are done, administered, controlled by the P.R.A.Y organization. They complement the other P.R.A.Y awards. Great thing about this one is that it is free. The curriculum is free. You don't have to order the book like you do with the P.R.A.Y awards. This one, you can go to the website, you can download the curriculum, you can do it today. It's absolutely free. And your pastor or clergy's signature is not required. So your parents and leaders, in this case, your parents would be the ones to do this with their girls, their youth, and then sign off on the requirements. So that's something great that your kids, your Girl Scouts could do from home now, and then just order the patches and have them sent to your house. The patches can be ordered anytime. They don't require an application, signature, registration, nothing like that. So I thought that was kind of neat. The website is there. And then there's also another organization that we get a lot of questions about these particular awards or recognitions, and that's the National Federation for Catholic Youth Ministry. So I have the website there. This is an example, this God is Love one here. This is an example of 4 things that can be ordered regarding the God is Love program for the National Federation for Catholic Youth Ministry for kinder through 1st graders. So if you go to their website, you'll see for all the levels, there's different recognitions, and then there's special recognitions like these big patches. They're pretty big, I've seen them. And so that's another organization that offers these programs that you order from them, you do the requirements from them, everything is done with them. We are happy as a council to recognize your Girl Scouts at our ceremony for receiving these awards. You would just have to let us know that. But that's these are other organizations. And just like there is this one for the Catholic Youth Ministry, there are other organizations out there. This is the one that I see come across our question board the most though. So I'm going to stop here and see if you have any questions. Okay, I'm going to recap what we covered. Keep asking your questions, and just to kind of address some of the things I'm getting in the chat log. Yes, what we will be doing with this training is, this is a recorded training, so the recording will be available, right, of course, but we're going to also put it in easier bits to swallow so it's not so long, and you can kind of take it on your own in our GS Learn platform for all of our volunteers. So if you're a volunteer, you should have access to GS Learn, and then you can see on there that we have a training for leaders, we have outdoor orientation type of training, we have our Bronze Award training on there now, we have our Silver Award training on there now, and then this will be another one that will be on there. And when I do that, the great thing is that I will be able to add a bunch of handouts that are available to help you and your troop give this presentation to your troop, handouts of letters of what to say. I mean, it's a lot of great stuff. So I'll be able to put that in GS Learn. And I'll also put a copy of the PowerPoint presentation so that you guys can change it and use it with your troops and your families. I love to hear that you guys are interested in that. So this is a recap of what we kind of covered today. We talked about what these religious recognitions are. I made it very clear that these are optional programs for your girls and their families. We talked about the My Promise, My Faith pin. We talked about the P.R.A.Y. We talked about the others. We talked about why it's important. It really strengthens their connection with their religious organization and with the Girl Scout law and promise. Who can do these? So again, the My Promise, My Faith pin can be taught by the leader in conjunction with parents and girls. The P.R.A.Y. and the other awards are taught by religious leaders, right? When can they be done? Anytime, never a bad time. Now is a great time because we're all, at home. They are celebrated in different ways. Troops can celebrate, like if they have their own ceremony, this is another award they can present. Service units is the same thing. Council, we've presented these at our council award ceremony in the past. Where from home or as a group, if you guys get together as a group and do these separately. You may also come across situations where you have Girl Scouts coming to you and they aren't aware of what their religious organization is for their family, or they don't have one. Something I forgot to say earlier, with the P.R.A.Y. Awards, you want to check. One of the steps in there is to check with your religious organization if membership is required. So some of them may require that your Girl Scout, your family be of that religious affiliation, be active members. Some of them will not. In fact, most of the ones that I saw do not, and they're open educational opportunities for all youth. So I thought that was great. How are they earned? We went over a lot of steps of how to earn them, and then resources. So I'm going to actually finish with that. Here are some resources that we went over. So the big ones that I would send you to look at is there's a Girl Scouts and Faith page website that has a lot of information on the My Promise, My Faith pin, as well as P.R.A.Y. information. And then if you want to go for the P.R.A.Y. awards and you want to really like deep dive into that, go to this website. There are tons of information, lots of handouts, lots of resources. I was very impressed. And then if you're of the Catholic religious affiliation, there is this other website to the National Federation for Catholic Youth Ministry for those other awards that we talked about. So I think with that, I'm almost done. I wanted to also mention as another resource, I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. This is something that GSUSA has had out there for a while. You can find it on the GSUSA website under the Faith page that I just showed you guys a little bit ago. And there are handouts. It's in English and in Spanish, which is awesome. It's a great family engagement. They have a version for younger girls. So daisies, brownies, and juniors have access to, these are all free. You can download it, you can print it, they're on the website. This is for Girl Scout, daisies, brownies, and juniors in English and in Spanish. And they have one for cadet, seniors, and ambassadors. And they have one, it looks a little more like sophisticated, and it's tailored for cadet, seniors, and ambassadors. So these are there. I would highly recommend that you use these for your troop, your Girl Scouts. Give them to your family members if they're interested. They're great, great books. And I think with that, I am done. I have this here to remind me to ask you guys if you have any questions for me. So that's kind of like a basic introduction on Girl Scouts religious recognitions available for Girl Scouts. Remember, sometimes they're called emblems, sometimes they're called awards. Is there any questions that you all have or anything I didn't cover? Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope it was helpful. I'll be very honest. I get a lot of these questions. I didn't know a lot of the details. So one of the things I love about doing these trainings is that it forces me to spend a day or 2 or 3 or a week kind of researching it all. answering my own questions and putting it together. So I found it really helpful for myself. So thank you. And it'll be, like I mentioned, on GS Learn. Give me about a week or so, and then the recording will be available right away. All right. Awesome. I'm happy to hear that, Veronica. Thank you for joining. Make sure you guys share this information with everybody. It is a lot clearer for me too. I agree. Thank you. I'll stay on here for a couple more minutes if you guys have any questions. Otherwise, that's the end of the training. Thank you guys, and have a really awesome week. And please be safe and stay well. Bye. Bye.